Okay, real talk for a sec. Like, who hasn't had that late night existential crisis? Scrolling through TikTok, wondering what is even the point of all of this.
Yeah.
Adulting is hard. The world feels like kind of chaotic right now.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to find your place in it all, ooh, stress level, 100.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we are tackling the big one, the meaning of life,
Ooh.
Gen Z style. And let me tell you, the sources you guys send in, mind blown.
Yeah, tell me about it.
We've got everything from like classic philosophy to like straight up someone's deep thought scribbled on a pizza box.
Wow.
It's going to get deep.
Buckle up, everybody. This one's going to be a wild ride. We're not here to drop some like ultimate truth bomb on you.
Right.
There's no one right answer when it comes to this stuff.
Yep.
But that's actually like pretty cool when you think about it.
I know, right?
It means we get to like explore all these different ideas and come up with our own conclusions. What we're aiming for here is to give you some seriously thought-provoking tools to build your own perspective on all of this.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
So first up, let's talk about this guy, Albert Camus, and this whole, like, absurdity thing. He basically said the universe doesn't really care about our need for meaning.
True.
Which, let's be honest, kind of relatable when you're just stuck in the daily grind.
Yeah, he's right. It can feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Especially, in today's world.
Yes.
He used this ancient myth about Sisyphus.
Oh, yeah.
This dude, he's condemned to push a boulder up a hill forever.
Ugh, brutal.
Only for it to roll back down every single time.
Oof.
It's like the ultimate adulting metaphor. Just when you think you're getting somewhere.
Bam.
Back to square one. Ugh.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, and it's like that feeling of being trapped, in these loops. Work, school, social media.
Right.
Like you're always trying to make it in a system that just feels kind of broken.
Yeah.
So like where's the hope in all of that? You know what I mean?
Well, here's where Camus throws, like, this major curveball.
Okay.
Instead of, like, totally freaking out about this lack of, inherent meaning,
Yeah.
what if we just embraced it?
Ooh.
Think about it. If nothing really matters in the grand scheme of things,
Mm-hmm.
that actually gives us, like, a ton of freedom to create our own meaning.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Mind blown. So instead of feeling trapped by the system, we can like hack it, make our own rules.
Exactly. And this, like, rebellious spirit, it's already in Gen Z, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
Questioning the status quo,
Yeah.
rejecting those, preset paths everyone expects you to follow.
Right.
Maybe not having a 5-year plan is actually, like, a power move.
Totally. You're telling me. And this whole thing about like living passionately in the moment, since nothing ultimately matters,
Yeah.
sounds pretty YOLO to me. Yeah, fair point. But let's not get too caught up on that whole like nihilistic side of things just yet. Just because the universe doesn't like hand us a purpose on a silver platter
Yeah.
doesn't mean everything we do is meaningless.
True. And that's where, like, this other big thinker comes in, Viktor Frankl.
Oh, yeah, Frankl.
This guy went through some seriously heavy stuff. Like, he survived the Holocaust.
Wow.
And his experience shows that even in, like, the darkest of times, finding a reason to keep going.
Yeah.
A purpose.
Yeah,
It can literally be the difference between life and death.
absolutely. I mean, Frankl noticed that the people who held on to a sense of purpose, however small,
Yeah.
whether it was like helping someone else,
Mhm.
finding beauty in the smallest things,
Yeah.
clinging to hope,
Yeah.
they were the ones more likely to make it through.
That is powerful. Really powerful. And it makes me think about that one video y'all sent in, the I Am Beggar one.
Oh, yeah?
He was talking about, like, the impact of just being kind, being a good neighbor.
Right.
It's like, in a world that feels increasingly messed up,
Mm-hmm.
those small acts of helping someone else can actually feel huge.
They really can. Like, it doesn't have to be some epic, world-changing thing,
Right.
Sharing your lunch with someone,
Yeah.
offering support online,
Yeah.
just, like, making someone's day a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
Those actions create ripples.
They totally do. But here's where things get, like, even more interesting, right? Remember that Alan Watts video?
Oh, yeah, why?
He was all about, like, questioning authority,
Mm-hmm.
especially the religious kind, and how it can kind of hijack our search for meaning.
Definitely. And I think if we zoom out even further,
Yeah.
that applies to, like, all kinds of inherited beliefs,
Right.
Political, cultural, even, like, those unspoken family expectations we all carry around. Watts was urging us to like really think critically about what we believe in.
Yes.
Not just blindly accepting what we've been told.
100%.
So like, are we living out someone else's script? Or are we writing our own? That's the question. And I think that's like especially important for Gen Z.
Oh, for sure.
You know, a generation that's known for questioning everything.
Exactly.
But that brings up a really important point. What if we reject all external sources of meaning, right?
Yeah.
Religion, family, society.
Yeah.
Does that just send us down this like rabbit hole of nihilism? Like, is that the only alternative?
Ooh, good question.
I mean, that's the fear, right? Like, if nothing inherently matter, then why bother with anything at all?
Right.
But I think that's where like Nietzsche comes in.
Okay, yeah.
Another like philosophical heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a super relevant perspective on all of this.
Hit me with it. I'm ready for some Nietzschean wisdom.
Okay, so he was like terrified of this idea of the last man.
Last man, okay.
Basically someone who has like completely given up on striving for anything beyond just comfort and pleasure.
Okay.
It's like being so numb to the world that you just settle for whatever is easiest.
Right.
Even if it leaves you feeling like kind of empty inside.
Ooh, empty. Okay, I see where you're going with this. I'm starting to see the connection to Gen Z here.
Yeah.
Like all that pressure to rack up likes and followers, to chase trends.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a form of this last man mentality?
It's a good question.
Like, are we becoming so obsessed with like instant gratification
Yeah.
that we're missing out on something deeper?
I think it's a valid question. And honestly, it's one that each of us needs to answer for ourselves. But Nietzsche offered a really powerful alternative too.
Okay, what's that?
The overmen.
The overmen.
This is someone who like creates their own values. They reject that whole herd mentality. And they're constantly striving for something greater.
Okay.
Something beyond the like prepackaged meaning that society tries to hand them.
Ooh, I like that. It's like leveling up in real life.
Yeah.
Becoming the hero of your own story, even if it doesn't fit the, like, typical script. And this idea, I feel like, really speaks to Gen Z's desire for individuality, right?
Sure.
Like, we're all about forging our own paths, even if it means, like, going against the grain.
Totally. And it's not about, like, becoming some kind of superhuman or anything. It's more about just consciously choosing to be the author of your own life.
Okay.
Creating meaning through your actions, even if the universe doesn't give you a blueprint.
I love it. This is getting deep, guys.
Yeah.
But stick with us because it's about to get even more mind-blowing. Remember that video you sent in, The Real Meaning of Life?
Oh, yeah.
The way it talked about, like, the sheer vastness of the universe.
It's incredible.
Billions of years.
Billions of stars.
Like, it's almost impossible to even wrap your head around.
I know.
Right.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like human history, even our individual lives.
Yeah.
They seem like the tiniest blip on the cosmic radar.
It really is humbling. And, like, maybe a little terrifying when you really think about it.
Yeah, it can be.
To realize just how small we are.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the twist. And this is where it gets, like, kind of liberating.
Okay.
If the universe doesn't even notice us,
Yeah.
maybe that takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, no cosmic judge is up there grading our performance.
Uh-huh. I like that. No one's keeping score, so we're free to experiment,
Right.
to make mistakes,
Mhm.
to try things that might seem, you know, crazy to everyone else.
Right. It's like the universe doesn't care if you're like a doctor, a barista, an artist, a gamer,
Exactly.
whatever.
It doesn't matter.
What matters is that you find it meaningful.
Mhm.
So maybe instead of getting all caught up in what you should be doing,
Right.
focus on what actually like lights you up inside.
Exactly. And that brings us back to this idea of purpose, right?
Yeah.
Remember what Frankl said?
Yeah.
Even in the most horrific circumstances, finding something to cling to,
Yeah.
a reason to keep going,
Mm.
can be life-saving. So now imagine applying that to your everyday life. It doesn't have to be some grand save-the-world mission.
Right.
What small actions, what everyday choices can you make that feel meaningful to you?
Okay. Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's about shifting our focus,
Mhm.
right? From what's my grand purpose to what can I do today to make a positive impact?
Yeah,
Even if it's just in like my own little corner of the world.
exactly. It's about remembering that we all have the power to create meaning,
Mhm.
to connect with something larger than ourselves, and to leave the world, you know, a little bit brighter than we found it.
This is giving me all the feels. So we've got Camus telling us to embrace the absurdity.
Yeah.
Frankl urging us to find purpose even in suffering. And Watts reminding us to question everything. But like, how do we actually weave all these threads together, especially when we're just bombarded with so much noise and pressure from the world around us?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's exactly what we'll be unpacking in our final act. We're going to explore some practical steps to actually live out these philosophical ideas, to create a life that feels authentically meaningful, even in a universe that doesn't give us a rule book.
Our deep divers, we've journeyed through the absurd, like flirted with nihilism, even ventured into the vastness of the cosmos.
Yeah, it's been a trip.
Right. But now for the grand finale. How do we actually live all this like philosophical wisdom? Because let's be real, it's easy to get lost in the big ideas without figuring out how to apply them to our own like messy, chaotic lives.
Totally. It's like having this amazing toolkit, but no instructions on how to use it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so break it down for us. What are the steps?
Okay, so first things first, remember Frankl's big takeaway.
Yeah.
Meaning often comes from like actually engaging with the world, not just sitting around and thinking about it. So step one is to actually get out there and do stuff. Explore your passions, try new things, take on challenges that push you outside your comfort zone.
Okay, so it's like that classic advice like, say yes to opportunities, but with a Gen Z twist.
Exactly. It's not about blindly saying yes to everything. It's about being intentional. Say yes to the things that spark your curiosity, that align with your values, that make you feel truly alive. And don't be afraid to fail. Actually, like, embracing failure as part of the process is crucial. Remember, Sisyphus.
Yeah.
It's not about, like, reaching the top of the mountain. It's about the struggle itself. So get out there, experiment, fall down, get back up, learn along the way.
You know what? That's actually really encouraging. It's like we're allowed to be messy, to make mistakes, to figure things out as we go. And honestly, that takes a lot of the pressure off, especially for Gen Z, where it feels like everyone's trying to be like perfect all the time.
Totally. It's about giving yourself permission to be human, to embrace the journey, even the messy parts.
Right. And this is reminding me of another like key point we talked about, questioning everything. Remember Alan Watts?
Oh, yeah.
He was all about challenging those inherited beliefs, those pre-packaged ideas about how we like should live our lives.
For sure. Don't just blindly accept the values and expectations that have been handed down to you. Take the time to examine them, to see if they actually resonate with who you are and what you want out of life.
Yes, it's about being the architect of your own life.
Right.
Designing a blueprint that reflects like your unique values, your passions, your vision for the world. This ties into Nietzsche's idea of the Overman too, right?
Absolutely. Strive for something greater, something that transcends the mundane. Create your own values, forge your own path, leave your mark on the world.
Okay, but here's the thing. What if I don't know what my something greater is yet?
Totally fine. The beauty of it is that it's an ongoing process. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Just keep asking the questions, keep exploring, keep growing. And remember, even small acts of creation can be incredibly meaningful. Write a poem, paint a picture, build a website, start a conversation that matters. Whatever it is, bring something new into the world that reflects your unique perspective, your unique voice.
I love that. It's about focusing on the journey, on those small steps, those little sparks of inspiration, rather than getting overwhelmed by the big picture. It's about remembering that you're not alone in this journey either, right?
Right. We're all in this together, trying to figure things out, make a difference, and find our own unique ways to make our lives meaningful.
So it's not just about finding meaning for ourselves, but about connecting with others, about creating something bigger than ourselves.
You got it. Remember Einbegger's message. Go help someone. Be the neighbor. Focus on making a positive impact on the people around you. It could be volunteering for a cause you care about, mentoring someone, or simply being there for a friend who's going through a tough time.
It's like in a world that can feel increasingly isolating, those acts of connection, of kindness, those are the things that really matter. They remind us that we're all part of something larger than ourselves, that we have the power to make a difference in each other's lives.
For sure. And here's a final thought, one that might sound a little paradoxical. Remember Camus' call to embrace the absurd? Well, I think there's also a place for embracing the joy, the beauty, the simple pleasures of being alive.
Okay, explain this one to me. How do we embrace the absurdity A and D find joy? Those seem kind of contradictory.
Think of it this way. If nothing inherently matters, then everything matters. We have this one precious life, this fleeting moment in the grand scheme of things, so why not make the most of it? Cultivate an appreciation for the simple things. A beautiful sunset, a good conversation, a delicious meal. Practice gratitude, mindfulness, and find those moments of joy in the everyday, even amidst the chaos.
I'm getting it now. It's like we're not ignoring the darkness, the absurdity, the challenges of the world, but we're choosing to focus on the light, on those things that bring us joy, that connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. And that's where it all comes together. Embracing the paradox, the messiness, the beauty of it all. It's about finding your own unique way to make your life meaningful, even if it doesn't fit into any predefined box.
Well, that's a lot to process, but I'm feeling strangely energized. It's like this whole existential deep dive has actually given me a sense of hope, a feeling of possibility.
That's the power of a good deep dive, isn't it? It's about taking a deep breath, diving into the depths of a complex topic, and emerging with a fresh perspective, a renewed sense of purpose.
So as we wrap up this epic exploration of the meaning of life, Gen Z style, what's the takeaway message for our fellow deep divers out there?
The meaning of life isn't something you find, it's something you create. It's about the choices you make, the actions you take, the connections you forge, the legacy you leave behind.
It's about embracing the absurdity of it all while simultaneously rebelling against it by living a life that's full of purpose, passion, and connection.
And most importantly, it's about remembering that you're not alone on this journey. We're all in this together, trying to figure things out, make a difference, and find our own unique ways to make our lives meaningful.
Beautifully said. So go forth, fellow deep divers, and create your own meaning. Your journey awaits. And as always, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.